So please join me to welcome our first guest, Dr. Tooru. He is our Principal Investigator and Research Project Director for the Lotus project under Public Health Institute. Welcome, Tooru.
Thank you very much, Cruz and Ellen. Today, first of all, thank you very much for coming this workshop. We call this project, we call Lotus project, and project was funded 2 years ago by Substance Abuse Mental Health Services Administration. It's a federal agency for a 5-year project, and we got a center grant. We are planning to have 2 in-person workshops addressing trauma-informed care and prevention, and also we have 4 webinars a year. We have already 2 webinars, and 1 workshop we did last November, working with UC Davis, and we addressed mental health and trauma-informed care and prevention for Afghan refugees, and we did a 1-day workshop. And this is the second workshop addressing mental health and trauma-informed care and prevention, particularly for Asian American and Asian immigrant. And we, as you know, many Asian immigrant and Asian or APIs are being exposed to Asian hate, and they're harassed and being physically attacked. So many issues come up, particularly for mental health. So this particular conference addresses mental health issues due to the exposure to Asian hate. All right. So today I'm kind of opening, but I would like to a little bit describe my research project, or research or service project, mostly funded by federal government. But as you know, it's really difficult to get federal funding, particularly focusing on Asian health issues. So a little bit I'd like to encourage you to apply. And so basically we call this our team, PHI, Public Health Institute, we call Health Intervention Project for Underserved Populations. And major focus of my team, and one is Asian health issues, and the other one is substance abuse among gender non-binary or transwoman. So I have 2 big separate team members. One is focusing on more trans or gender non-binary populations. One is for Asian health issues. And as I said, my findings mostly come from National Institute of Drug Abuse, NIDA, and some Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, and I'll also get some state funding for private foundations, such as Kaiser or Japan Foundation. So yesterday or the day before, I wrote it up how many project studies or service projects targeting Asian populations, and quite a number of funding we received from federal government and also state. And the first one is, as a matter of fact, it's my first NIH-funded study almost 30 years ago, and addressing or describing substance use and behaviors, and also HIV risk behaviors among Asian Americans or Asian immigrant. And that's I worked with an Asian American Recovery Service in San Francisco. And then we got another grant from NIH, trying to investigate protective factors against drug use. As you know, prevalence of drug use among Asian or Asian immigrants much lower than compared to other racial ethnic minority groups. So we try to find out what kind of protective factors they have. So that's one big study. Also at that time, many people particularly using methamphetamines, and particularly Filipino communities, they use, and many people, for example, work in the, laborers day to day, and many Filipino kind of routinely use methamphetamine and working to, so try to find it out, describe methamphetamine use among the Filipinos. And also, next study funded by NIH targeting Asian women who work at massage parlors in San Francisco. And that's a kind of controversial study. And National Institute on Drug Abuse really supported. We had a 5-year project, kind of mixed study, qualitative and quantitative study, and to describe HIV-related risk behaviors. At that time in San Francisco, about 23 or 25 massage parlors. First, we started mostly masseurs, Asian masseurs, dominated by Vietnamese and also Thai. But Thai somehow moved out from the area or whatever, and then mostly, still right now, Korean and Chinese and Vietnamese masseurs are working at massage parlors. As a matter of fact, around here, several walking distance massage parlors, and supposedly it's massage, but under the table, many engaging in sex work. So that's a next study, and also extension of the study to do female sex workers in Thailand and Vietnam, and also drug abuse targeting people to call APIs, and high-risk group, including drug users and also those incarcerated in prison, and sex workers, female sex workers we interviewed. And also we got an API MSM, sex with men, and try to investigate their risk behaviors. And Thai woman still continues, and successful stories for API MSM. Probably you know HIV data or prevalence rate among Asian. Certainly MSM, gay men, high HIV prevalence rate, but somehow they are protecting, infection, not only HIV, STD, but they are better off compared to other racial ethnic minority groups. So we try to find it out, the protective factors against HIV infection. And also keep continuing some HIV years among sex workers. We expanded to Malaysia, and that's particularly target MSM in Malaysia, and also female sex workers, they call maknya, and that's kind of mixed study using qualitative and quantitative data. And then we got the IBay, first round of the project targeting Asian population, particularly younger group, high school or junior high school people in San Francisco and Oakland. And then right now we have one project trying to describe stigma related to HIV issues among Kathoi. Kathoi is a female transgender woman in Thailand, so we target, and we are right now working with researchers and providers, health providers in Bangkok and Thailand. And the Lotus project, as I said, this one is funded by Lotus project, and funded by SAMHSA, and for 5 years for center grant. And also, we got a continuation of highway. We provide direct, services. For first one, we worked with Asian Health Services in Auckland. Right now, I work with KCC, Korean Community Center for the East Bay. So they provide direct, counseling services. And as a team, we go to the community, recruit high-risk Asian youth, and we provide youth empowerment activities as well as professional counseling. So that's a kind of brief description of this. My service and research grant. And speed bump, I get a lot of funding, but it's a lot of speed bump I have to deal with. First one is 2003, while I was in UCSF. Tooru's congressman, he's a Pennsylvania congressman, tried to defund our study, particularly for Asian female sex workers. They debated and basically saying San Francisco sex workers, female sex workers, and they tried to defund. But not only mine studies, but also along with 4 other studies. One is investigating HIV risk behaviors among trans women among Native Americans, but fortunately it's failed. But still continue to harassing my project, and NIH and SAMHSA came for audit, and they tried to find it out. And at that time I was in UCSF, and many lawyers and all those administrators tried to help to defend, and basically nothing found, no academic misconduct or financial activities all cleared up. And then it was cleared up, and then I got targeted by UC insiders, and I was kicked out, and without no reason, basically. And after that, I was really upset, and I tried to continue my project for trans and Asian population, but somehow they, without any significant reason, they kicked me out. So I filed a lawsuit, and we got a settlement, but it's a little bit difficult to keep the project team. Fortunately, current institution, PHI, Public Health Institute, took my project, and I can continue all my research and service project at PHI. And again, after getting the PHI, I got targeted again by Congress and trying to defund R21 for female sex workers or Catholic sex workers in Bangkok. That amendment is passed by both voice vote, but during that negotiation they dropped. And I found it quite bad because first 2003, political involvement to defund NIH studies, and many professional organizations such as Public Health, American Public Health Association, or APA, American Psychological Association, they mobilized to defend my project or defend NIH's scientific review process. So that was successful, but again came back after 2008 or 2009. So tips, getting grant, particularly for Asian health issues from federal or state, it's a little bit difficult, but basically my suggestion for you to apply and get a successful grant is collaborate with other API researchers and also PIs, and involve advocacy group for APIs, such as I was in the original chair for API work group. So, kind of NIDA's director always comes to the meeting, and we have meeting twice a year, and we try to advocate for more research funding for API populations. and also collaborate with local providers, such as RAMS or Asian Health Services, to get, basically we need to collect data, working with service agencies, so that's important to build up. And sometimes, service providers have bias against, researchers, but now getting better. But if you closely work with service providers, they know that research data and findings are very important to secure funding, and I think eventually help community members. And also develop ideas for study or service projects very in advance and talk to senior PIs. And get the information about the review process and decision making. That's really needed if you get submitting proposal and usually being rejected. It's a high rate of rejection, but you have to keep working, but you have to know the system. Review system is very important, and how to decide, how government decide funding agencies or funding studies. That's, I think we need to know how to address those kind of technical issues. And in general, NIH were really fair in the review process, but many things involved, and keep getting reviewers comment. This is very important, nobody done previously, particularly addressing HIV issues among Asian gay men. For example, nobody done. But unfortunately, many reviewers not strongly, enthusiastically support. So that's really affect the scores. And that's we have to deal with. Somehow keep submitting grant, and eventually you can get it. And so. Rejection is a part of learning process. I learned quite a bit submitting numbers of proposals and not being funded. For example, last year we submitted like 5 proposals, 2 out of 5 funded. So that's kind of lucky to grant. But rejection is kind of you have to go through. And believe to get the funding eventually, and that's really help health issues or improve health and well-being among Asians, and particularly our project addressing those who are stigmatized and neglected. So those needed population, and our project focusing on certain areas of health, but eventually getting the community involved and service providers involved. So those kind of creating network certainly helps a lot in the long run. Right? So don't be discouraged, being rejected. So keep submitting grant. That's kind of my message. And again, thank you very much for coming for this second workshop, and hopefully you enjoy.